I'm going to say the Atlanta Hawks as a whole.
Do it.
Team.
Hurry him up. Go ahead.
Do what now?
Go ahead. I'm all here for this. Bring up the Atlanta Hawks. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay, so it's going to be actually for a selfish reason. So last season, the Hawks were Eastern Conference finalists, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Last season. This all started with John Collins being my first most disappointing player, and then I started looking into it. But it's the Atlanta Hawks as a whole, because last season, the Atlanta Hawks were the second best three-point shooting team in the league. This season, they're the second worst three-point shooting team in the league.
How's your boy Ice Trae contributing to that?
Hold on. Last season, or not last season, was it last season? John Collins went from a 41% three-point shooter to a 23% three-point shooter. Do you know what happened between last season and this season? Well, what happened at the end of last season and between this season?
Trade rumors?
No.
He's been in
I'm asking Angelo, because Angelo likes to hate on the Hawks, and I'm gonna ask him what happened.
He likes to hate on the Hawks because I'm a Hawks fan.
No,
okay,
I
legitimately. This is the way. So Lloyd Pierce got fired. Nate McMillan stepped in as the interim head coach.
Yep.
I'm a Pacers fan, as you know. I know how Nate McMillan coaches. Nate McMillan is a defensive-minded coach. The game the Hawks are playing has slowed down significantly. They're settling for a ton of mid-range shots instead of looking for those open looks on three that they were getting last season. This has led to, Trae sat out a game because he didn't want to deal with Nate. Nate McMillan is a problem coach. He does not utilize star players. He's part of the reason that Paul George Pacers were not very successful.
And they ran into LeBron James every year. But
wasn't he the coach of the Trailblazers when they had Brendan Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge?
I think he was an assistant. You can double check. I don't think he was a head coach. I think his first head coaching gig was with the Pacers. But he is a archaic coach who for some reason continues to get a job. He's trying to get John Collins and Trae Young, who are very talented offensive players. I think even you would admit they are good offensive players, to buy into almost a grit and grind system. And it's just not working. This is a team that should be one of the best offensive teams in the league, and they're not, and that's entirely due to Nate McMillan's style of coaching. They added DeJounte Murray, and that should have dropped the usage rates and the scoring of Collins and Trae, and it did. But this team got better, and they're underperforming. And I just don't think you can argue the reasoning. I think that there's a direct correlation between Nate McMillan coach teams and horrible offensive production. You can sit here and say it's Trae because you're a Trae hater, but I do believe Nate McMillan has more of the blame there.
I don't think Trae's completely free of the blame.
Oh, absolutely not. He's not completely. He's the leader of that team.
Like I said, as a Hawks fan, I can tell you from the moment the ball tips off if we're winning the game or not, depending on what Trae does with the first possession of the ball. Because he's either going to come out and shoot, which is the Trae Young that we want, or he's going to come out and want to drive at the rim and throw dumb passes or do stupid layups, and then when that happens, we just get destroyed.
Okay, so A, exactly, but B, you said, Trae Young's opportunity would go down in John Collins, so that should mean Trae Young's efficiency should go up, shouldn't it? Can I interest you in 40% from the field? What about his three? Can I interest you in 28% from three-point range right now? Trae Young, Steph Curry Light is shooting 28% from three on 7 attempts.
Exactly. They're not hunting for those open looks anymore. I want you to go sift through the games and watch how much the Hawks are settling for mid-rangers or pull-up threes at the end of the shot clock because the
Floaters,
plays break
hook
down.
shots.
This is the exact same thing that we saw from the Pacers, where the common stereotype of the Pacers offense was star player dribbles the ball, no one moves, and then someone throws up a bad shot because there's no fluidity
Sounds like
to
a
the
game of Random
offensive.
Red from 2K.
There's no offensive fluidity, and that is on the coach. He is not letting these players play to their strengths. He's trying to force them into what he wants to do, and that's not how you coach a star player. Did you get whether he was the head coach or not?
He was the head coach. Oh, hang on. Yes, let me check if he was head coach. He became the head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers in 2005.
Okay.
He was the head coach until 2012. So, yes, he was there through the entire Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, Marcus Aldridge years.
So, I put up those numbers against Trae. I'm not going to go as hard on him now because, like I said in the first episode, where I value and weigh things more is in the playoffs, if they even make it. But I will evaluate Trae, A, because we're only 20 games in, how the season progresses, and B, how he performs in the playoffs if he makes it. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair, but I think that we are a few short losses away from Nate McMillan not having a job, a new coach coming in.
And someone else being blamed for Trae Young's shortcomings. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway.